Hi, it's Caroline Musoko. Welcome back to my channel. I am in construction gear because I am on site at a development. I'm at the Alma in Ruaka, just up the road from Two Rivers, and this is a Cytonn investments development. I had the pleasure in the last video of walking Edwin Dande through his own project. You know, I was heartbroken when you told me I couldn't go to the Amara.
No, you can go to the Amara.
Because I didn't know. No, you have to be honest about this. I wanted to walk through one of them, and you told me, but Caroline, I handed them over. They are people's homes.
Yeah, we can take you to the Amara. All you can't do is to get into a house because we've sold all of them, so they're occupied. That's the only reason why we can't do it at Amara.
So this is the strange thing, Edwin. So if I was to believe the grapevine, the Amara, this prestigious but very, very expensive development that apparently will never sell. All 10 units gone. I can't get into one.
Yeah, but
I can get into the compound, but I can't get into a house.
Yeah. There are two things. One, Karen has the highest concentration of high-end schools anywhere in Kenya.
Right.
So the buying capacity is very high. And then secondly, what we do, we make sure every place we develop, our development is the best. So I can tell you without, you go look in Karen, it's the best gated community in Karen.
If you live at the Amara and you would like to invite me home, I'm a really nice guest, but I want to see it. I want to see it for myself.
Absolutely.
Because those 10 units went for about 100 million each.
Yeah.
When you started that, didn't everybody tell you, nah?
Yeah, a lot of people say
okay, just checking.
You're not going to be able to sell them.
Right.
You're going to be stuck with it. But what we did is that we did research and realized that a lot of the gated communities were basic in terms of finishes, in terms of aesthetic, the architectural outlook, and then you see the other thing is that we don't build until we try the sales. If we're able to sell 20% off plan, that's a good signal that it's in demand. So Amara, we were able to get 20%, two units went off plan, then he told us, yeah, this thing works. We don't break ground until we have tested it with the clients and they tell us change this, change that. Then if we get that level of interest, it gives us the confidence to proceed with the development.
So did you start with the Amara and then decide on the Alma, or was it simultaneous?
We actually started both at the same time in terms of testing the product, but...
Who's your cardiologist? You'd have a heart attack.
No. In terms of Karen, it's only 10 units. Here it's 500.
10 units worth 100 million each.
But we know that, Kenya is a business hub. There are people with cash. And actually our buyers are both entrepreneurs and politicians and professionals and everybody else. And there are also quite a number of foreigners, people in Kampala, South Sudan, who have families here.
So the Alma. So I got here and I remember looking and thinking, whoa, it is big. What was the vision for this place?
Now, for the Alma, a couple of things. One, we do a lot of research, as I keep saying. Typically, if you look at a residential community, occupancy is around 80-85%. So around 15 to 20% of the units are always vacant, looking for tenants. When we did our research for Ruaka, occupancy was at 97%. So it told us there's something unique about this market. It's very hard to get good apartments in this market.
I know.
So at that point, we started now doing our research and trying to figure out what could we put in the market, in this market, because occupancy is already great. What can we put in this market that doesn't exist? And if you go around and look at all the developments, the one thing that's missing is a comprehensive lifestyle. Most of the apartments here provide you accommodation.
Yes,
exactly, and leave in the morning and go to work.
And go away.
But we are
and look for entertainment elsewhere.
Yes. But we are aspirational people. Everybody wants to feel good about where they live, not just the home, but the neighborhood, the address. So we then decided that if we were able to provide something that gives people a nursery school, convenience store, gardens, elevated gardens, we couldn't do it down just because of lack of space. a gym, a club, then maybe people will like it. So you come up with a design, and then you hold a launch and test the product and tell people, this is what I'm going to bring to the market. Are you interested? And we make the reservation very easy, 25,000. Now, if a certain number of people reserve, it gives us the confidence that the product is working. So what really brought us here were the economics looked very good, looking at occupancy.
Yes.
And the product in an attractive market wasn't there. So we said we are going to put a product that is unique in this market.
But from what I understand, fununu za kuaminika, you don't do real estate the traditional way. What is it you do?
When you turned to come to the Alma, I don't know if you noticed our signboard has a red X.
Yes.
By Kenha.
Yes, by the way, very nicely.
Now, one of the things that we looked at was infrastructure, the outlook for infrastructure. You can always find the information and know where the highways
will be. The plans are there.
So that's what we said. This road is going to be dualed, and true enough, a month ago, Kenha came and said, remove your signboards. We are going to now.
Oh, is that why Kenha has marked your signboard? They're like, our signboard. We're about to build a road.
We're about to build a dual road. So it's called the Western Bypass. That's going to join the Northern Bypass.
Yes.
Now, imagine for a buyer of a 3-bed unit like the one we are seated in, they came in at 8 million. Now it's going for 13. Imagine the price when the bypass then comes. And that's the satisfaction you want to give people, that you're not just buying real estate, you're buying real estate in an area that is upward looking in terms of prices. So research is number one
key,
in terms of what we do. The second is how we finance it. Think about it today, Caro. If you have 100,000 shillings, you take it to a bank, they'll give you almost zero. Now, they'll collect that.
You don't know the fights I've had.
They'll collect that 100,000 from hundreds of Kenyans.
Yes.
Then I will go borrow it from the bank. I know they say they charge 13 or 14%, but if you look at the cost of borrowing, it's around 16%.
Okay.
So I'll go borrow the 100,000 from the bank and pay them 16. So think about what has happened.
My 100, they've given me 5 if I'm lucky.
At best. For 100,000, you'll get zero. Guaranteed. You've gotten zero. If you had 10 million, then maybe you can negotiate.
Yeah. Yes.
So you've taken 100,000 to the bank, you've gotten zero. I go borrow the same 100,000 and I pay 16%. So we asked ourselves, what if I came directly to Caroline, offered her the same 16% I would be offering the bank, and I took the 100,000. Again, we tested it and we realized many people are happy with the product. The only thing they want to understand, how are you able to give me this 16%?
By the way, and that story is prevalent. A group of ladies who work at a very prestigious organization up Wayaki way, who got paid. But I remember the day they were rejoicing. They were told by everybody, now take your money and run. Don't give it back to Edwin Dande. So I know you pay. The question is, how? Why are you giving somebody 18% when I can't get it from the bank?
Because it's something new in this market, but in global markets, it's ordinary. It's called structured finance. I have just structured out the bank and came and turned you from being a deposit. Of course they won't like
I'm just checking.
if you go talk to any relationship manager, they'll tell you, no, don't take your money there, whatever. But we are competing.
And they have, I'm just saying. Yeah. I didn't come here to tell lies.
No, it's definitely good to say. It's just the same way when M-Pesa started. Banks asked M-Pesa, but who are you? You are not allowed to transfer money. That's the preserve of banks. M-Pesa proved itself slowly. Remember when Uber came to town?
Yes,
there were riots. Why do you want to come and play in an area where the taxis, remember the ones with the yellow lines are playing? So whenever you bring a new idea, it's kind of challenging to people. But over time, it will be accepted, and more developers are now looking at structured finance. Why
that I get.
Do I have to go to the bank to borrow the money if I can borrow it directly from the owner of the money and give them the same rate I would give to the bank?
Okay. What is the high yield in relation to real estate? I mean, you seem to be almost the ambassador for real estate. You believe that Cytonn, what is a Cytonn? I needed to ask you that one.
A Cytonn is a mindset, how people think. Now, people always ask us, define it. We say a Cytonn is about ordinary people thinking and acting differently to achieve extraordinary results. Now, what have we done For example, with our finance, we are ordinary people. We just said, let's go to Caro and see if Caro can give us the same 100,000. And instead of the bank lending it out for her, she lends it herself to us.
To you guys.
So it's just thinking, acting differently to try and achieve.
Imagine I can deal with that.
Mm.
I can deal with that. So, I mean, what does this mean for things like the Big Four, and especially in that area?
The Big Four, you know, there's housing, healthcare, manufacturing, and food security.
Yeah.
Now, let me limit myself to the place I
Of
really
course.
know, which is affordable,
Affordable housing.
I actually think that for the Big Four to achieve what it's trying to achieve, it has to go beyond just government funding. It has to attract private sector funding.
Oh, for sure.
And if it's going to attract private sector funding, I don't see a better or a newer way to do it other than these things we call structured finance.
Gotcha.
Go directly to the Kenyan who's already frustrated. Because for a business model to work, you have to find somebody who's frustrated with something or has a pain point.
Yes.
The average Kenyan is frustrated with the returns they are getting on their deposits.
Oh, yeah?
Give them something. And for the Big Four, it would really work because you'd even have the government having signed off on that structure. You see, for our structure today, we are selling it. It's a new thing.
Yes.
Now, if the government understood it and said, actually, we want to structure and fund real estate this way, I think the funding available for the affordable housing would be a lot more. And the reason why this structure really works for real estate, there's also no other asset class or type of investment where the returns are, you can predict the returns over a long period of time.
Yes.
So real estate really lends itself to this structured finance approach.
I like that. So you're going to go and look at how much you put in the bank in the moment and then ask yourself, are you getting the right returns, and whether you should be calling the team at Cytonn, not Mr. Dande. So why don't you do that, subscribe, and then come back, because I've got a few more questions for him and then I'll let him go. Okay? Super.